Troy, tell us about your business and what's limiting its growth right now.
So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a gemologist. I buy and sell estate jewelry, which is secondhand jewelry. So I'm a gold dealer, gold buyer, love fine jewelry, love fine gemstones, diamonds, sapphires, rubies, emeralds. I stock a ton of those on platinum1911.com. I also have a couple franchises called Fast Fix Jewelry and Watch Repair, one in Scottsdale, one in Chandler, where we fix watches. We have full-time jewelers in-house, and we have a laser, and we're repairing jewelry all day long. We're replacing batteries, fixing watches. We also have a nice selection of jewelry for sale in the stores. And then we also buy jewelry out of these stores. So the flip side of the estate jewelry is if I'm selling jewelry, I always got to buy it. So I'm constantly buying and selling fine collectibles.
So before we dive into that, it is a very interesting business, very similar to mine. We buy and sell vacant land. But before I get excited and jump into it, what is a 3-year revenue target you have set for yourself for the business?
I mean, look, big numbers don't mean you're making money, right? In my business, you can sell a ton, but you can have almost no margin, or I could even lose money if I do big risky buys on a speculation piece. So, but on the flip side, yes, I'm always trying to grow business. To be honest, this is one of those few businesses where I don't really set a target. Maybe in the back of my head I do, but it's not a real goal. My goal is just anytime I get an offer over profit, I got to seriously consider, hey, should I take this? In my business of sitting with consignment at stores, I'm kind of sitting to wait to get the price. So that's a longer term versus if I'm out doing trade shows or hustling to other dealers to just try and do a quick flip and make a tiny margin. That's how you get bigger gross revenue, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're making more money.
Just for context so people know, you have like a number you want to throw out?
I mean, it's millions of dollars a year. Yeah.
Okay. Millions in revenue. And I'm guessing, so growth wise, are you like looking at a 10% growth, 20% growth?
Yeah. Every year I strive in general for probably a 10% in gross revenue. This last year was a lot bigger growth because there's been so much gold buying coming in. So, but it doesn't necessarily mean, my margins are obviously slimmer with that. You can't really do $100 million without a big team of people in what I do.
How big is your team?
I've got 17 people between all the companies.
When you say all the companies, you're talking about the buying and selling of estate jewelry, then you're talking about the repairing jewelry. Those are separate lines?
Correct. That's including all those employees. With Platinum 1911 only, there's 5 of us.
Okay, so let's do a deep dive on the actual business itself. So let's start with the estate jewelry business. So the word estate, it's kind of like pre-owned, right? That's what I should think about?
Correct.
Right? Okay. How are you acquiring these items, these gems, these jewelry?
Well, that's kind of one of the secrets of the trade that, a lot of us don't want to tell. But basically, when I solve problems by writing checks or buying things, people continue to show up. So in my last 20 years of doing this, customers just continue to come back, send me packages either in the mail, show up at my office. So there's end consumers, there's stores, there's dealers. So it's kind of a mix of all. And then again, the longer you've been in the business, and you have a good reputation of treating people fairly, then things keep coming back to you and people return or refer you. So if you make one person happy, I'm hoping the biggest gift I can get is that they tell 3 other people that then call me to do business with me.
Right. If you were to draw a pie chart for customer acquisition, or not even customer acquisition, this is product acquisition, how would you split that pie chart? You mentioned referrals, other dealers. How split it for me?
I would say 90% people that already know me, and 10% they find me through a Google listing or through one of my stores that way, through some sort of internet. I don't really pay for advertising. I believe in the stores we're doing a texting campaign. So that's probably 50% of the buying through that store. But on the gross dollars, it's still a small percentage of what we do. I hope to grow it.
Yeah. How many locations do you have?
I've got 2 of the Fast Fix locations, and then my other main office for Platinum 1911.
You said Fast Fix?
Yeah, it's a franchise. Fast Fix Jewelry and Watch Repair.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it's a franchise. You're a franchisee, right?
Correct. We have a website, fastfixarizona.com.
Okay. What's the other one?
Platinum1911.com.
And what is that?
That is the Fine Estate Jewelry website.
Oh, I see. These are all your pieces that you own now, right?
Well, Yeah, I have. Yes, I am possession of every piece in there. I mean, there are some dealers that I take consignment from, a handful that like mentors of mine that just throw me product and say, "Hey, make me money." So the question you ask is kind of like asking me, "Hey, how much money do you have in the bank?" Right? It's kind of like none of your business. But yeah,
All right. Okay. Um, when you use the word consignment, that means when you're selling someone else's, right?
so
Can you explain
yeah,
that?
I'm using it in both terms. So what I just mentioned is yes, the everything on platinum1911.com I have access to. I own the majority of it. I just, there are a few dealers that toss me beautiful jewelry at a good price and say, "Hey, look, just let's split profit when you sell it." So I
Mhm.
take consignment from them, just from a handful of dealers. Then I also consign the stuff on platinum1911.com to hundreds of stores across the country. Um, Maybe not consigned to 100 stores. That's inaccurate. I sell to hundreds of stores. I consign to a handful that I really like, that I trust, and it's a it's a wonderful relationship where they're able to use my goods to make a margin on and make them look good in their local area, and then they get to sell my product, so I get to turn through.
Why is that? Like, if you have your own website and your own store, why would you consign it to another? Like, it like help me understand the logic.
I mean, retail's so difficult, and if you look, everybody selling jewelry, they have to advertise like crazy to
Mm,
to acquire a customer. It's people, I get lucky sometimes just because I have so many pieces coming up and off the website, so people do find me. But I'm not paying for advertisements on platinum1911.com. We're just
mm,
starting to do some Instagram advertisements, which I still am up in the air if it's even worth it. But yeah, in general, retail is just a total different animal. All the retail customers and questions start coming in on a Friday, all through the weekend, and I don't want to work on the weekends. I got kids, so
mm.
it's just a different situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it does. So, okay, now hopefully now you can go in a little bit more detail. So, if we were to draw a pie chart for customer acquisition, no trade secrets, right? How would you split the pie? Where are most of the customers coming from?
I get. Sorry, I thought I answered. I mean, the majority. It's people that like referrals. So it's stores that know me. That's majority, and dealers.
No, no, no.
And
These
then
are customers, like retail customers who are buying your
from me.
jewelry. Yeah,
Oh, where do they? Yeah, I mean, they're
yeah.
people like my early career, I used to travel on the road 100,000 miles a year, knock on doors, selling different lines of jewelry. So I met, 1,000 different retailers. So that's one way I know them. Then once they find out, hey, this is what I do, just knocking on doors, finding stores. Now that I built that base, now I provide a service that they need, so they want to work with me. So I
Right. No,
built,
no,
I would
no.
say,
Troy, I understand
yeah.
that. What I'm asking is the retail customers. You said, well, I run Instagram ads and they buy
Oh,
from that pie chart. Are they all coming from paid ads, or are some of the customers coming from like organic ads or
no,
organic
right now,
content that you produce?
100% organic. I don't think I've ever sold anything from an Instagram ad, and I've never advertised. So 100% organic. They either found me organically or they got
Hmm.
referred to me by somebody on the
Ah, I
retail
see.
side. Correct.
I see.
Yeah.
Um,
But I know big retailers that I sell to, that's what I was referring to. They spend 10 to 20% of their gross sales on Google AdWords and different
yeah.
places like that.
Right. And the reason you don't do paid ads is because is that something you're not familiar with, or is you tried it and you knew it was too expensive? What's the
It,
thought process?
it boils down to the first question you ask is I need the right person to come run that, as I don't have the bandwidth to answer questions in the evenings and on the weekends. And that's what that would require. For me to be focused on just retail, I need someone that's super knowledgeable and dedicated that wants to work those late hours. That's how, when people are shopping at night, they want a response right away. They don't want to
Yeah.
wait for me to respond in the morning. I
Yeah.
think that's a success.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speed to lead is so important. Like even in our business, we used to take like 4 hours to respond, and then we found out some of our competitors were responding much sooner, and then and now we try to respond within 60 seconds, which is really hard, by the way. We had to hire like two extra people just to meet that metric.
Wow.
But you know
And you
it.
can't do that with AI to at least keep them busy,
Well, you
like a
can.
bot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. It's just that it's we try to build a lot of goodwill in the marketplace where people like trust us, right? So we're actively avoiding AI bots, and we hired a company to do off hours. So when they call, they like a person in the US will pick up the phone and gather their information. So we have all the information, and when our team comes in the morning, we'll like call them back. So that's one thing we have done. And then we on the on hours during working hours, we have like 6 people team. So when someone calls,
They're
usually
available.
they're there or they will respond within 60 seconds.
Well,
But
that's
you
amazing.
are yeah, you are correct that speed to lead is was like the biggest thing. Like when we first started learning sales, a lot of the sales training was like objection handling. I don't have money. I need to talk to my wife. Those kind of things. But really, what really moves the needle from our experience is speed to lead. So, what is the hesitancy in actually investing in a person to take care of those weekend peak hours? Is it like a cost thing, or is it do you don't want to manage more people thing? What's the hesitation?
It's look, if I don't hire somebody that's knowledgeable about the product, is that something that's worth the time? Or does a person want to hear that they can't answer the question that they're asking?
Mm,
So I guess in my head, it's a very hard role to replace. And if there's another person at my high level, then they don't want a job. They want to do it for themselves. So it is a mix, and right now I'm raising my family and choosing to make the family a priority, maybe over business. So, but yeah, so that's one combined. The other is I see all the other companies that spend X amount of money on the advertising to even get the leads. So, like when you add in all the costs, how I'm running now, it works, and I'm happy with filling a niche. Even though I understand maybe from your side, you're like, oh, you're missing out on so much. The grass isn't always greener,
mm,
although it could be. I mean, the more I buy, the more I can sell because you make the money on the buy.
right. Um, what about you mentioned like if you try to bring someone who's already knowledgeable, they're gonna cost too much, or they wouldn't want a job. They would want to do it themselves. What about bringing someone green, but then training them?
Yeah, I mean that's a potential. That's potential too. I mean, and I mean, first off, we got to trust somebody, right? Because these are like tangible assets. For no lack of better term, is how do you give someone the keys to your safe that you don't know?
Hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
So you're right. You know, I mean, when you hire somebody, you don't put their name on your checking account to go write checks, right?
Right.
But to do my business, that you got to, right?
Yeah.
You're holding jewelry. You know, in fact, I got like a ring here that I just bought today. It's a pink opal from a designer Phillips house, kind of cool. I mean, another Levion pendant with a tanzanite and diamonds in rose gold, super cool. I mean, so like these are valuable assets that someone could run off with. So that's kind of the first thing. It doesn't mean that I don't trust people, and I do. I've hired 2 people since December, so I am working on it and slowly figuring out how to get there. It is a
Yeah.
slow pace.
What about like an offshore person who just handles like the conversation? You train
Like a
them,
VA.
right? Virtual assistant.
Yeah, you know what? I researched a ton of VAs. I know now AI is coming in. I bet you can get VAs for a very reasonable price since AI is probably taken a lot of jobs. So I probably need to go that route. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, do you have suggestions in that? Because I'd love to hear. I mean, is that what you're doing on those evening calls to the VA?
Well, so so our basically our whole company is out of the Philippines. Only me and my wife are in the US, right? Unlike jewelry, land people cannot steal, right?
Yeah,
So
harder. Yeah,
so yeah, so we basically they answer all the calls, they run pretty much run the business. My wife is a closer, so she will like she does like every the lead is qualified, they talk to our team in the Philippines, they got all the information, and now they're ready to pay money. That's when they like my wife gets on the
jumps on.
Zoom call to do the final close. So that's how we have set up our company. So I was thinking something similar, where
Yeah,
if you have like couple of virtual assistants who are doing um all the initial setting, we call it the setter closer model. So they are setting up for you to close, right? So if you are say not available on the weekend, they are setting you up for Monday. So Monday when you log in, that's when you're like, all right, yeah, so you have all the information, this is how you pay, and that's when you close, right? So you don't have to hire someone on site. How do you hire a VA? So you can go to websites like upwork.com. There's also another website, onlinejobs.ph, that's like out of the Philippines. So you will have to do more of the communication there. Upwork kind of like is more like a concierge website where they kind of like have steps in place where you have to do less work, but they're also tends to be tiny bit more expensive. So those are the two websites we use to find a virtual assistant. And if you don't want to pay for any of the sites, you could just put it on the LinkedIn, you're hiring, and then I'm looking for a virtual assistant. A lot of people
and
will
they'll
just see
find
that
you.
and reach out.
Got you. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good call. Yeah.
Um, The other thing I wanted to talk about is your margins. So you did mention, well, you make the money on the buy. Is there, like, I'm thinking of ways, is there a way, any way comes to mind where we can increase the margin somehow? Like maybe position the jewelry in such a, like you just showed a couple of pieces. Can we like add like a story behind them or like somehow make them more valuable?
Yeah, I mean, I hear. Yeah, at the end of the day, you make the money on the buy, so you want to treat people fairly, and pay for them. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do get lucky sometimes. In fact, it's even better buying from dealers because there's kind of no guilt per se. If a dealer sells me a piece inexpensive for very low, what I would have paid more, then I can triple, four time my money. There's no guilt. Versus if you call me Abi and say, hey, look, I inherited this jewelry. I gotta take care of you. I like you. I know you. You're not an expert. I feel it's my duty to, hey, look, I'm don't get me wrong. I don't want to lose money, but I'm gonna pay you more. So yeah, I believe it or not, I make more money on margins from dealers that maybe make mistakes or view a piece different than I do, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Um,
So, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, but so yeah, so the I think to add on your point, I think the reason I've been successful is understanding or having a view for beautiful jewelry and understanding how to get top dollar for each piece and knowing when to sell cheap and when to wait to get the real price. Where a lot of dealers, let me just give you an example. A lot of dealers, they buy stuff, they add 20% and they're done. Okay. That's all they do with
Mm,
every piece. So if you do that, you really can't get wealthy because you're just trying to make 20% or 15%. If that's okay to do that, but you got to recognize every 50 pieces, that one piece you can triple your money on or double your money on. You have to know when to hold that. So I think that's what's made me successful is understanding when to hold, when to sell, and to not just like kind of go with the straight, like, hey, I'm selling it 10, 20% over what I just paid for it.
mm. So, what are some of the things you look at? When to hold, when to sell?
No, I can't. I mean, basically, I look at a piece and say, "Man, is this sellable?" Like, is there a buyer out there now? I think because I've traveled, I used to travel the country and fly all around the United States and over in Europe. to acquire and sell jewelry, every area has their own unique things that they like and dislike. So just know when I see a piece that's sellable and I can buy it at a great price, I kind of have already a buyer in mind, or someone that I think they're going to like it. Where the person selling it to me a lot of times is like, oh, I'm over this, I'm done with it. Just take it off my hands.
Is this like a buyer's list? Like you already know certain people like to collect these gems and jewelry?
Yeah, there is a list of that too. The privates that, hey, look, they're going to want this, but also stores as well. You're right; they're all buyers, and yeah, whether it's an end consumer or whether it's a store, I kind of know what they like.
Hmm. I see. And you say I also know when to hold that. You that by that you mean you just want to hold it in your inventory because you're confident that a good buyer will come along?
No, let me give you an example. So let's say, okay, let's use Rolex as an example because everybody, there's a lot of buyers any day of the week. So let's say I buy a Rolex for $5,000 right now. And, I immediately people, um, I'm getting offered 5,500 all day long. But look, I haven't seen one of these in a while. I know I can get 6,250 when I have a customer. So like, yeah, I could flip it right now, make $500 and be done. Or I'm going to have a customer. I know I can get the 6,250, which is what the guy buying it from me is going to um, ask for it anyway, or maybe more. So that's when I just say no. And you know what? Hey, I don't. I can wait on this $500 profit and my 5,000 in capital to come out to get that extra 750. Is
Hmm.
that an example that makes sense to you?
Yeah. Okay. So you essentially, so what I understood was you kind of like based on you have so much experience that you're kind of like doing math in your head to say, well, is there like the supply demand, right? If there's
Correct.
enough supply or if demand is higher than the supply,
Yeah.
and then you make a judgment call, right?
Correct, correct. Right now that gold is high, there's way more supply than demand. So there's people selling. So I'm buying a little bit back of the gold value because there's so much coming right now. So it's really only special pieces that are taking a premium when dealers like myself are buying them.
Hmm. How do you value these items? Like, e- tell us the process.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's you start with finding out what is the piece, what how much precious metals in the piece, how much gold is in there, then the gemstones, and figure out like the actual carat weight, or decide what it is, figure out the carat weight, and then having a heartbeat on the market of what something's worth per carat in the gemstones and diamonds. And then, hey, is there a value because it's a cool, unique piece? It's really hard to make. Is there demand for this piece? Or let me give another example. A Tiffany return to Tiffany Hearts sterling silver necklace. They sold tens, hundreds of thousands of those. They're all over eBay. So there's way more supply than demand. There's always a buyer at the right price, but there's also a lot of fakes out there. So that's that return to Tiffany silver necklace or bracelet. I'm sure you've seen that with like it's got
Mm,
like a loop design. That has a lot of supply and not a lot of demand. When you
mm,
get to special watches or special gemstones where there's just way more demand, then a lot of the places like sell over the retail value because there's only one of them and they can't get
mm,
another one. Uh,
mm. Is this when you say demand? Is this are you talking about demand in the local market or are you talking about like the demand across the U.S.?
well, I mean, look, with the internet, the demand is worldwide, right? You know what I mean? So I have buyers out of the country that I can hit on WhatsApp and say, "Hey, I got this. Do you want it?" So yeah, definitely not local. I mean, it could be, but yeah, with the globalization and the ease of communication, you know,
Mm,
special pieces can be sold anywhere in the world.
mm. What percentage of your sales are like within U.S. versus outside U.S.?
I mean, in terms of where they see the piece, I would say it's still 90% in the US, but I do sell a lot of different trade shows where other foreign buyers come and do buy. So
Hmm.
those foreign buyers, maybe it turns into 70% in the country and 30% out of the country.
Hmm. Is there a way to generate demand? Like, maybe doing some kind of like video, like how would you, so just I just wanted to brainstorm, like how would you, if you have a special piece, how would you generate awareness and demand in the marketplace so we can increase the value?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm trying out now, talking on, or doing Instagram videos, just educating people about the jewelry industry. So I'm starting there. How would I use a specific piece? I mean, having it on platinum1911.com is a great place. It's
Hmm.
working one place online. I may have that also in a store, so it's working two places at once. So my general vision is I have pieces working at least two places, one online and one in a store. So that is that that's some a lot of jewelers don't have. I mean, this is a crazy business. Some people literally buy jewelry and it just sits in the safe for a year before they touch it, sometimes
Hmm.
longer. I mean, it's the exact opposite of how a real estate person thinks. I mean, right? As soon as you buy something, you're like already figure, or I mean, maybe not. Sometimes you want to hold stuff because a zoning's coming around later on, or different ways. But there's jewel. I mean, there's diamond sight holders that sit on a piece of rough. Like they'll buy a piece of rough for $100 million, and they won't cut it for 20 years. And like I think Groff did that with one of those famous diamonds. They got all deflawless out of. They held a piece of rough for over 20 years before they cut it, asking different cutters how to do it, what to make with it. So imagine that cost of capital. Even if they triple their money, wouldn't 100 million triple its money in 10 years or 20 years anyway?
Hmm.
So it's a
Yeah.
crazy business where like value, business, artwork kind of come together, and it doesn't always make sense. I always step back and say, why am I in this business?
Hmm. So you said they held it for 20 years. Is it because they wanted to build something special out of it?
So it was one diamond, a big rough
Right.
piece of diamond.
Yeah.
So they once you cut the diamond, you can't go back. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they
yeah.
got like a ton of opinions from different cut. Well, one, and they didn't talk about it, and they got opinions from different cutters on how they think they should cut it. Then computers came around, and then they computer model. Hey, we're going to get these are the different options we can get. Cuts, weights. So it's but maybe they didn't want to screw up. Maybe it's a great story. But at the end of the day, this is like valuable artwork, and they were just deciding on, hey,
Hmm.
where I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably, hey, where can we maximize the dollars? So if they could get heart shapes out of there and the market for heart shapes is really low, they're going to say, shoot, well, we can get an emerald cut that's going to be smaller because we're going to lose weight, but the emerald cut's going to sell right away, where the heart shape may own it 10 more years.
Hmm.
Does that make
If
sense?
Yeah, yeah, no, it does. So if a stone gets damaged, you could still repair it, right?
It depends on, well, I mean, define the damage, and yes, I mean, in general, yes, but if a stone breaks in half, you have two
Then
halves. So when you
right.
recut it, you're going to lose a lot of weight.
I see. Yeah. One idea I was thinking was to generate demand because it seems like because the value of jewelry and these special pieces is in the eye of the beholder, right? So
Correct.
one idea I was thinking, and you tell me what your thoughts are, is doing influencer marketing, right? So say you go to a TikToker or someone with a huge Instagram following and have them kind of like wear the jewelry or like kind of like in a natural setting, and try to generate demand like that, and then you either pay them like upfront or pay them a cut. What are your thoughts on influencer marketing to generate demand like that?
Yeah, look, I think it's totally possible. A lot of the big brands of jewelry, they're out like dressing Hollywood, and from that, like the old school way of influencer. There are
Hmm.
some estate jewelers that are influencers themselves that go out and work on different content. The hard part about the estate jewelry is everything's one of a kind. Most influencers are promoting a product that the company they're promoting can repeat that product an unlimited amount of times, where I really only have one of a piece. So um, for me to pay someone $10,000 to show a piece that's worth 1,000, it's not worth it. Now they may bring awareness to platinum1911.com or fastfixarizona.com, but I don't think, that's maybe my hangup. Maybe there's smaller people. Right now, my goal is to get on podcasts with smart people like yourself. One, I love business, and to bring awareness so I can learn about this, and bring awareness to the jewelry business.
Mm. Yeah. I I'm thinking I think that might be a limiting belief, that you cannot sell one of a kind piece, because then because you're not like, you find an influencer. It doesn't have to be like Kim Kardashian. It can be like like someone with like 10,000 followers, but within the same niche or an adjacent niche. And then you can have like, all right, these are 20 pieces. I'm gonna, like, we can sign something exclusive for like 90 days. So if you were to promote these for 90 days, you keep 10%, right? And then you mark up the price by 10%. So it's for you, you get the same amount of money, but the extra 10% they can keep it, or you make it
Yeah,
juicy,
no, I mean,
20%.
if someone's willing to do that, just I'm going to offer that deal to anybody, right?
Right. No,
Anybody that
but
wants. Most people don't want to work. Yeah, look. I'm taking notes here, and I will check this out. But if there's an influencer that's willing to work in that, I mean, then it's a no risk to me. All I got to do is buy insurance on them. You know.
yeah, 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 which is another topic I was gonna get into. But just to double click on this, I mean, you wouldn't know until you do the outreach, right? I mean, obviously, if you reach out to 10 influencers, all 10 of them say no, you'll be like, well, this doesn't work. But if you hire a VA
Uh,
and the VA reaches out to 1,000 influencers, right?
yeah.
Out of those 1,000, maybe 50
Yeah.
of them say yes, right? And then you tell them your vision, and then out of those 50, maybe 5 of them say yes, and then you have those exclusive contracts with those 5 of
Yeah.
them. But it is like, it's like, in the business world, it's affiliate marketing, right? You have an
Yeah.
affiliate who's selling on your behalf, and they get a commission, which is like a very common practice. So I think it's just a matter of, it is a numbers game, just like you already know. You said, right? You're selling 1,000 pieces, most of them you're going to make like 20-30% margin, but every now and then you're going to make like a 300-400% margin, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing with cold outreach to influencers. Most of them will say no, but then a tiny percentage will say yes, because it's like aligned with their interest. Maybe they are, especially artists. There are a lot of artists that have a ton of followers, but they don't know how to monetize it, right? And if people like yourself, you reach out, and it's like it's a good match, because they don't have a product and you have a product. You don't have a big audience, right? So it's a match made in heaven. And if you don't want to hire a virtual assistant, you can look for an agency that hooks you up with influencers, right? So they basically will do all the work for you, but then they will also take a cut, right? So it
Gotcha.
totally depends if you want to manage it in-house through a virtual assistant, or you just want to offshore it to an agency. But then agency will be a little bit more expensive than you
Gotcha.
hiring in-house.
Yeah, I've thought about, I've researched the VA before. What's the safety concern when you give the VA like access to everything?
Well, I mean, you have to have checks and balances. For example, like if they log into a website, you still have like a OTP, one time passcode that they have to use, like stuff like that. And once you build
So every
trust.
time you're giving them the one-time password.
Yes, I mean, but I have people who have been working with me for years, so that they have unfettered access. But if when they're new, then you want to have like some checks in there, like a manual last step that they don't have access to directly.
Gotcha.
right?
But obviously, when you're hiring VAs through one of the websites like Upwork, they have reviews and kind of years of history for someone, but they may cost more.
Right. So yeah, because Upwork usually tends to get more experienced virtual assistant. They might have 5, 10 years of experience, so they'll be more expensive. If you want to save costs, you want to hire someone right out of college, and you can train them in house, right? So they make a higher salary because you're paying them more compared to like a more experienced person. But then you also get to like mold them in your way of thinking, right? So it's pros and cons. If you don't want to deal with training aspect, you want someone who's already trained, or at least have a lot of experience so they can get up to speed sooner. Then you can pay a premium on Upwork and try to find someone who has already worked with US companies for like 5, 10 years, and then you can do reference checks during the interview process. So it'll be like, give me 3 references from your past 3 employers, and you just call them and ask them, can I trust this person, right? That way you can build trust as well. But initial first 3 to 6 months, I would recommend having like still have like a manual check in the US, you or one of your associates in the US who does like has like the final say in what they get access to.
Gotcha.
So yeah, pros and cons. But I do think like if I was like in your shoes, I would definitely look into the influencer marketing, because that's how I see other companies, like a lot of hotels do that. They would hire influencers to stay in their hotels and like showcase, and they give them like a something like a commission, or like a lot of artists do that. They would influence with a bigger influencer and give them a portion. Another strategy is give them. I know it probably doesn't apply to you, but give them some kind of equity in your like they become like a spokesperson for you, kind of like, right? And you say, all right, at the you basically are like a 1% silent partner of my company, and they will like promote for you pretty much forever, right? Or like a 5%, whatever you're comfortable with. And then because they have, the more money you make, the more money they make, right? Because then the interests are aligned. Because if you just hire for one time, they'll be like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna make $2,500 from Troy. If it doesn't sell, I don't care, right? But if
Well,
you
yeah, I
make
mean,
them,
yeah, I mean the way I can't give them interest into a jewelry business but I see other ways. Maybe it's like, hey, here's a coupon code with their name that gives
yeah,
the customer a discount, and they get a kickback on when that sale comes through.
yeah. Yeah, that's more traditional way of doing it. Or you can just be like, here's a commission. Like if you sell this piece, you will get like dollar amount this much based on whatever the 5% is, or whatever 10% is, right? So instead of giving them just percentages, you give them, this is the dollar amount you will be making if we sell this thing, right?
Okay.
You kind of like mm, telling them how much they're gonna make, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, this is a percentage," and they don't do the math in their head, right? So things like that, little psychological tricks. Um, I wanted to transition to financing. Are these pieces that you're buying? Do you have like financing partners, or is it all your own capital, or do you have like a banking relationship? Tell me about those.
Yeah, I mean, most of it's just grassroots. I finance it myself. I mean, there's dealers I buy from that might give me a little bit of terms, whether I might get 30 days, 60 days. A few that like me, I just pay them when I can, but usually it's in those timelines. Yeah, of course, there's lines of credit available, but yeah, nobody really wants to finance. Yeah. Finance things. Yeah. It's you kind of got to have the money to buy things, especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah. Do you have like hard? Can you take hard money loans where you know for sure you're gonna sell this in 90 days?
I mean, you can. It's super risky, and I don't advise it. I mean, I give hard money loans out to people, and I have in the past, and I've been, knock on wood, been lucky that I come back. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, it's too risky, or I can get cheaper money. With a line of credit, you're paying 10% annually, where hard money loans, you could be paying that for the 90 days.
Right.
So,
Yeah. You mentioned like if it's someone is starting out, they must use their own money, right?
well, yeah, or look, if you have trust, you get consignment. So that's kind of the other route. So jewelers, we all start. Big dealers need hustlers. So when I first started, dealers were giving me consignment. They gave me goods, and like a dealer would give me $1 million worth of goods at a price, and I would just go try and sell it at profit. Now I work with some that they give me cost and we split profit. So two kind of different ways to do it, but that's a way to get started. Then as I started to make money, I took my own money and bought my own jewelry.
Hmm. So if you're starting out in 2026, right,
Yeah.
and you don't have any funds, but then how would you advise people to like approach a big jeweler and
I mean,
say
you
that
could
I'm gonna
approach me.
hustle?
If you want to start selling estate jewelry, I'll send you, obviously I need to do reference checks and check out your good, but I do have some sales reps too that I'm not including as employees because they're independent contractors that I buy
Mm,
insurance on, and I give them consignment. So then they go
right.
run around, let's say if they're taking $1 million to stores, I may give them, they may have four guys like me giving them 100 grand each, so they have a $500,000, or sorry, that'd be five each of consignment and maybe 500 grand of their own, and then they run around to other jewelers trying to sell, or other people.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely, you can hit me up if you want to get in the estate business, and I can trust you. Then I want to do business with you.
Hmm. E- So you mentioned they can go to other dealers. So it seems like there are some market inefficiencies, right? Where since it's the underwriting of how much it's worth is in the eye of the beholder, they might think, oh, this piece is worth, say, $7,000. And when you go to the next dealer, they might say, oh, actually, it's worth 8,000. Does it ever happen? Is it off? Sometimes it's off by like 20-30%, or is it rare
Oh,
in the valuation?
it's off by 100% or more. I mean, it's off. It's crazy. So that, that's a skill. So when I go to another dealer to go buy from them, most of their stuff is too expensive. But then I go find the few deals that I think are priced fair or underpriced, or yeah. So yeah, correct. It's all over the map. That's where the skill comes involved. It's not the straight thing like, hey, I'm buying this. It's worth this, so I'll pay this. Like, what, plus I people may think I'm crazy that I value something way more than they think it's worth, and like, hey, why would you ask that price? I'm like, oh well, because that's, I mean, is there another one on the market for less? Well, no. Okay. So I mean, we're all like very confident that we're right as dealers, but we all contradict each other. So at the end of the day, there isn't a right answer.
Hmm.
um, does that make sense? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
not 20, 30. I mean, it's all over the map. I mean, we're talking, could be 300% off. So some dealers just want all this money for a piece that I don't see the value.
Yeah. And it's is it mostly based on their existing buyers list? They're thinking, "Oh, yeah, I know a buyer who's going to pay 300% for this." Is that the main mentality, or is it going back to we talked about supply versus demand?
Well, that would be that they're one and the same, right? If I know of a buyer for something, that's a demand. But
Ah, yeah.
I think, look, I can't answer for another dealer, but yes, as myself, if I when I put a price on something, I say, hey, look, I know I'm going to get this price, or really close
Hmm.
to that price. So yes, we know we have a customer, which means we believe there's demand. Because everything's one of a kind, it's up in the air. When you get to, like, I can use Rolex, because when you sell a Rolex, everybody knows what you're selling because that reference model is what it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Where when I'm selling jewelry, people may not understand. I describe it the best I can with every accurate gemological term, gold term, but somebody may have a different opinion on it.
Yeah. How
So
long do the
again, let me phrase that. Jewelry is very subjective, where
right.
Rolex is very objective.
Right.
Maybe the condition would be a subjective part, like, hey, this Rolex has never been worn versus and it has scratches all over it, or it truly has never been worn and there's no scratches. So, people will sell stuff as unworn and it's all beat up. So, but usually that can be polished out. So, but other than that, Rolex is objective and jewelry is subjective in the eye of the beholder.
Right. So say you take a piece of jewelry, it's made of gold and say some kind of a gemstone in it, right? You like find a theoretical value based on what's the market value of gold and at that particular gemstone
Of course,
at the
yeah,
current
I'm
moment?
doing that in my head the second I see it. Yes.
Oh, you are. Okay. So
Oh,
that's how
yeah.
you're coming up with value.
Well, that's how, when I'm buying. Yeah, I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay the metal value. I'm going to figure out, hey, here's the metal value. Here's the gemstone value. If I have to like ditch it, so that gives me that's like a baseline of, hey, look, I know what if I just got to ditch this piece, scrap the gold, sell off the diamonds to a melly dealer, and ditch the gemstone. Like, yeah, that correct.
Also, that's also an exit option. So when you say ditch it, how often are you ditching stuff?
Well, right now with gold buying, I mean, weekly, sometimes multiple times a week, I'm smelting, or selling to a refiner big packages of gold because there's so much jewelry coming. Like in the few pieces of jewelry I have sitting here that I showed you, there was a other big lot of just gold that's never going to make the website because there's just too much of it coming. And so I buy that at a small margin below gold, and then I'm able to help a customer out that doesn't have the relationships I do. I can make a small percentage, but then I get to keep a few good pieces to resell.
Ah, I see. So you have those two exit options. And usually, I'm guessing, so as you said, you're gonna make less margin in general, right? If you go the smelting route.
Oh, correct. Yes, yes.
Okay. Um, Tell me about the insurance. We talked about insurance. You said that you usually have to get insurance. Do you get insurance on all pieces, and how much does it cost?
I mean, insurance is this necessary evil. In the jewelry world, there's only a handful of companies that actually insure jewelry, and like I can think of two. There might be like two others. So literally, there's four that insure like jewelers. So we have a block policy. So basically, what that does is we give them, hey, here's the total value of what we want to insure, and then they have a long list of rules of what you got to do. So I mean, your office has to be locked down, specific levels of uh, UL underwriting as far as like alarms, safes, all the backups. And then you're only insured if you do all these right things. It's either got to be like in my office, in a safe, or it's got to be on my person. I have to be like physically attacked. So there's like all these stipulations. So insurance, I mean, again, insurance is a business, so they don't have to pay. But we're
Right,
talking
right.
it's it's big money. I mean, only early in my career was I paying, four figures, but um, it's been five figures, and I know companies that are spending six figures on on uh, um, on just their jewelry insurance. It's crazy. So
Hmm. So it is expensive, and
yes,
it's and you said it's like a block policy, so it's not per item, right? It's not per item.
correct. It's yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah. When we do the block, if the requirements are, I have to have a digitized inventory, so I have to kind of prove to them, hey, how did you get this piece? If
Hmm.
stuff goes down, versus like when you have a personal jewelry policy, you have to actually insure a specific piece. But pieces come in and out so quick with me. That's not on. Yeah, that wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah. Do you ever sell on websites like eBay?
Yes, a lot of the lower end product or some lower end name brand product. In fact, I sold a David Yurman bracelet on eBay this morning.
Hmm.
So yeah, one of my employees who's I've known forever, who's come back on recently. I'm kind of ramping him up. Just there's so much product that I can't even get to, so I'm allowing him to jump on and do that on eBay.
Hmm. when you hold on to certain pieces where you like, well, I can definitely sell for more, I'm not going to ditch it. Does it ever happen that it's like you are like wrong on your call and
Oh,
it just sits
yeah.
there?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm far from, I'm not batting a thousand. So, I'd say,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you know, rarely, in fact, I just bought this Alexandrite. I didn't want to talk. I'm kind of sick to my stomach. Like, I mean, okay, I paid $6,200 for the stone, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, is it even worth 2,000? So like, this is something that I'm like, and it's from a buddy that I know. Like, I almost want to call him and be like, dude, this thing's so ugly. Can you take it back? But it's a rare stone. I'm just kind of sick of it. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I make mistakes all the time.
Do you ever, so what happens in that situation? You're going to keep on holding it or you're just going to take a loss?
Well, I mean, I just got it back from a lab. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if there's a buyer for 2,000. I don't know. At the end of the day, it is a rare stone. Nobody has, so because it's rare. I'm gonna take my chance. I'm gonna probably just try and sell it.
Right. Just like
So, but yeah,
get your
if
money
I
back.
get an offer at a loss from a dealer, then yeah, I'm going to consider it. You know.
Right. You said you just came back from the lab and the lab is like certifying it?
Yeah, so there's gemological laboratories. There's the GIA, Gemological Institute of America, in Carlsbad, New York, and they have other campuses around the world. There's American Gemological Laboratories. They're in New York City. There's in Switzerland. There's Christian Dunegre. There's Gublin. There's labs all over the world, but some renowned ones there. Here in the U.S., we like GIA, Gemological Institute of America. That's where I have a degree from for as a graduate gemologist, and so they teach gemology, but also have a lab as well.
And you send these pieces to the lab so they can certify them?
Yeah, certify is a slang term. It's a lab report. They tell you what it is to their best of their ability at that time. So it's very vague. I mean, it's
Mhm.
respected and we like it, but if you read it's none of it holds up in the court of law. So because of like this is where you get this could be a whole other podcast, but what they call a gemstone today, in 10 years it could change with new knowledge that they become aware of, which is kind of how it's written
Mm,
in the report. It's crazy.
right.
So they don't give a dollar value. When you get a lab report, at least all the ones I just mentioned, I believe none of them give a actual dollar. There's other labs like EGL, European Gemological Laboratories. They did give values, but there's controversies on value versus gemology.
Right. So value you have to come up with yourself. They're just certifying that it is what you're saying it is, right?
Correct. Yeah. So what they say it is now, I can sell it as that, and it's that confidence booster. So on certain gemstones, if it's a sapphire that's unheated, I wanted to get that. You get that lab report, so now I can call it unheated. The lab report backs that up. On like the Alexandrite in question, it's a color change. It's a natural chrysoberyl that has a color change, and there's no treatments. So when someone's spending when pieces are 5, 10,000 and up, 20,000 and up, a lot of times, and it's a colored gemstone or a diamond, I want to get a lab report. So it adds credibility and makes the end consumer happy.
Yeah. The end consumer, the retail buyers, are they actually like using these these pieces to actually use them on a day-to-day basis, or are they collecting them, or are they just trying to impress their friends? Like what is the mindset of the ideal customer profile look like?
I mean, I think that's a great question, by the way. Yeah, it's all over the map. So, I mean, you get people that they're buying one piece of jewelry and they're going to wear that thing every day of their life. You get others that are literally buying weekly or at least monthly, and they have a budget and they're trying to fill that budget in jewelry. So they're a collector. So a lot of the higher end pieces I say they don't get worn. It's like an art collection in their jewelry box. So they
Mm,
really love the jewelry, love it as artwork, but they're not wearing it. So there is a mix all around the map. Obviously, most people, if they own a piece of jewelry, it's a wedding ring when they got married. So the male typically buys the female a nice diamond ring. So that's usually their most important thing. Then some women, depends how much they like jewelry. If they want fine jewelry and earrings and other pieces, and then on the flip side, there's some that love jewelry and love to wear. If you've seen like wrists full of bracelets and necklace full of necks, and every finger has a ring. So there's
yeah.
there's to the max, and I get some people say, "Oh, who would ever wear that?" And I'm like, well, yeah, the women in Texas that wearing a 30 carat diamond and an eternity band with 1 carat each all the way around. Where other women would say, I wouldn't even wear a single 1 carat, you know. Well, I
Mm,
don't know. Maybe they wouldn't say that, but
yeah. Usually, so estate jewelry versus buying a piece like which is like never been worn before. So there's definitely like a premium to that, right? If hasn't been worn before, or do you think there are exceptions?
depends what. Well, yeah, I mean, there's always exceptions. I mean, um, like a certain piece that they don't make anymore that's very desirable. Of course, that's going to be worth more than a new piece because there is no new pieces. But
Right.
look, it depends on the person. Yeah, some people just refuse to buy anything that's used. They only want new.
Yeah.
Um, so like there's certain areas, maybe like pearls. Like for some reason, I own a ton of pearls. So, but most pearl buyers, they don't want to buy used pearls. So for whatever reason that is, even though we can restring them to make like take them apart, clean them, restring them so it's on a new string, so it's very sanitary, for lack of a better word. Um, Pearls are like one of the hardest things. So when someone wants to sell me pearls, I have to buy them for next to nothing because
Mm,
there's just no buyers. But
yeah.
other jewelry, some women, I mean, there's some buyers that just they only want secondhand. They love that it's a little bit of wear, and so it's all over the map.
Mm,
Another thing to know: a lot of jewelry can be refurbished to like new. So
mm,
that's what's cool. That's why gemstones are precious, and precious metals like gold and silver, or gold and platinum, more like you can refinish them to like new condition where they most people couldn't even tell they're worn. Only someone experienced like me can go over it under magnification and maybe find, hey, this is where I can see this was polished or whatnot.
mm. How often do you deal with like scams or like fake stuff people trying to sell you?
Um, I'd say selling me, no, there's rare to that because I have all the tools to test. A lot of times, like one of the packages I went through today had some gold fill, so plated gold with the other gold, but I think the customer just didn't know, so they kind of lumped it together. So that's my job to go through and test with the different tools I have. So I'd say it's less scam that side.
Mm,
But the scams are on the buying in my retail stores. I just had an issue this last week with credit card chargebacks and headaches. In fact, I heard too over the weekend, we almost had another ring taken. So crazy enough, in one of my stores, if to show a piece over a couple $1,000s, we have to like take your ID. So I know it
mm,
sounds crazy. It's not what I'm dealing with here in Scottsdale, but there's just in the malls you can get unfortunately dishonest people.
mm. As in, like they will buy it and then they'll say, "Well, just do a dispute on the credit card."
Well, yeah, that's one option. Or we've had a few just runs where they try on a
Oh, they just
necklace and they
run
run
with
out the
the.
door.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, like one most recent, it was an underage kid. Um, we had all on camera the kid's name. We had everything. He got arrested, prosecuted. Again, they can't tell me about it because he's a juvenile. But like we're for lack of better, the actual city that it happened to, they're suing them for me, and so I'm just asking for, hey, I want the money compensated for what was stolen, plus a little bit for my time. So like I guess in theory they're suing for me to get my money back that was taken from me. So I just
Hmm.
want the precedence so they can people the word gets out that hey, don't steal from this store.
Yeah, yeah. That's unfortunate. Um, One question I had was around time to market. So when you acquire a brand new piece, how long does it take for you to like bring it to market? Because I'm assuming you have to clean it, you have to get the lab report, and you have to like like might have to do some repairs. Usually, what's the time to market like?
Yeah, I mean every piece is different. Some things literally they can someone a dealer can come in my like I can buy some today. A dealer can come in my office and buy it right then before I do anything with it. So it can happen right away. Um, Not everything gets a lab report. Only probably a small percentage, like less than 5%. A lot of jewelry. In fact, all the jewelry I have here sitting here, we've got, tanzanite earrings because tanzanite's just commonly heated. You don't have these are beautiful like halo design stud earrings and 18 karat, 5 carat tanzanites. They don't need a lab report. So nothing here needs a lab report. So this will get it's actually I already spent time cleaning it today. It'll get inventory when I have time in the next couple days. It'll go to photography. So usually it's ready anywhere from 4 or 5 days to the photography can take a couple weeks. So that's my general lead time is an hour to 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And then if it's a lab, it can take over a month. It depends on the lab.
Yeah. When you sell these pieces, do you offer like financing?
We actually discussed this right in our last call.
Increase, yeah,
Prior to
pre-interview.
1911, I don't. At the stores, we use a company called Acima, ACIMA, and I believe it people can get up to $4,000 or $5,000 in financing just by having a bank account.
Hmm. Okay. Anything
But I
over
know
you
I
don't,
think
right?
we discussed the firm. Yeah. What I mean with real estate, you're obviously not. It's a different. I mean, because they're able to back it with a tangible asset. There's lots of options in real estate, or actually a lot of the mortgage backers don't like land. So what works for you?
Yeah. So well, we can do owner financing, right? Because they cannot steal the land. We'll be like, well, we'll hold the deed until you pay it off, right? And then
Got
we will do like a land contract or contract for deed. So they have proof that they have interest in the land, but they don't have the clear title yet. Um, yeah, and there are like a lot of banks. If it's a higher value property, a lot of banks would offer mortgages to like people who have like high credit score and whatnot. And yeah, so that's what we were discussing in the pre-call, where you if you can somehow figure out a way with like a third party financing, right? It will definitely help because just like selling cars, right? Most of the people they buy on like 5%, 10% down and monthly terms for the next few years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I no, there's just I got to find what company's going to do that for
Yeah,
at a reasonable rate for more than a couple thousand or $5,000. And
yeah,
most of my car dealer buddies, yeah, they're telling me it's really flipped too in the cars. I mean, and maybe on the cars, yeah, because the financing is so expensive. I imagine and not take this wrong, on the lower end cars, the stuff that's selling under $50,000, maybe they're financing that, and like maybe a company like a Mazda or a Kia, they're probably offering an in-house finance at 3%. But if you walk into Porsche or you walk into Cadillac, it's like 11%. So like, you're going to spend 4,000 a month as it's like, yeah, and 1,000 or 1,200 of that's interest. Most rich people say, wait, why, you know what I mean? There's
yeah.
no way I'm going to pay $1,200 a month interest for this car.
Yeah. You mentioned dealer buddies. How are like usually in your niche are like dealers usually friends with each other or they like hate each other or they're like some people who do their own thing? What's like the dynamic like?
Um, yeah, no, I mean, look, there's some people that don't get along with each other, but no, look, at the end of the day, we're all just hustling, trying to make a living for our family. So no, I have a there. Yeah, I was actually referencing car dealer buddies, but now we're jumping into jewelry dealers. So yeah, no, there's friends of mine. There's some of my dearest friends are other dealers, and they're texting me, hey, what would you pay for this, and vice versa. So we'll partner pieces, which is kind of fun. So most recently, I sent one of my mentors a beautiful Art Deco bracelet, and he's like, oh, let me partner in. I'll send you money tomorrow. So it's kind of
Yeah.
fun to do that and do that and yeah, so it just depends. And there's other dealers that I kind of keep at an arm's length, but at the end of the day, if another dealer can make me money, we're going to be friends, you know what I mean, and I'm going to go in
Yeah.
and see them and try and buy from them, so it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. When you say partnering, is it only because you want to like split the risk?
um you know Partially the risk, partially other dealers may partner with me because of with my website. There's nobody doing there's few, if any, estate jewelers that have a couple thousand pieces on a website. So they want to partner with me because they know I have a reach to get a good price. I mean,
I
that's
see.
why they're partnering with me. So it's more of just the exposure. Um, a lot of times I do it one if I don't have the money. So I've got other stuff where, like, if a big diamond comes, like I'm looking at a 5 carat diamond, it's going to be in the $60,000 range. I don't want to put up the money. So what I work out with a buddy of mine is, hey, look, I'll just let you buy this diamond, and hey, just toss me some commission when you sell it. That's not really a partnership. I just don't want to put the money. He's like, no, let's put, let's say it's 60, we each put up 30 grand. Just diamonds have such a small margin, and I but look, I do a favor to him because he sells me other stuff cheap or buys from me other things. So that's one example versus me trying to, hey, let me sell it for 62,000, because it may not, he's like afraid to put up 62 because the total might only be 63, 64. So that's one example. Another is just we're sick in the head as dealers and just fall in love with beautiful jewelry and can't help it and
Mm.
want to have an ownership and a piece. So
Yeah.
can I partner on that?
Yeah. Do you ever like take advantage of arbitrage opportunities outside the US? Like, for example, say in India, there's a huge market for jewelry as well. And maybe the gold is trading at a lower price, or maybe their jewelry, the way they're evaluating is much less than how much you can sell in the US. Do you ever take advantage of stuff like that?
Yes. I mean, look, India as a rule, and this is a stereotype. I mean, Indians don't trust Americans and Americans don't trust Indians. I mean, it's kind of a funny thing. One of my other close friends and actually partners in a software business, she just started a manufacturing house over in India. And I actually just ordered a few pieces from her just to help her out, just some lab grown jewelry. So actually, they're supposed to arrive, I think, tomorrow. So I haven't even seen them, but hey, I don't mind helping manufacture there. Um, but as far as I found, selling in India is more challenging, just cultures. But yeah, as far as gold too, there's a spot price of gold. No one's selling gold under gold. Like, the price is the price when it comes to the dealers. So there is no like change there.
Right.
In fact, I know like India really values the American market. So one of my other friends who was actually in a big fraud case there in India, and actually got, I think, 700,000 to $1 million out of someone. But it was, dude, the guy like was running from the law, paid off all the law, but like the Indian government like really did well to like make her right, just to show that, hey, look, we want to combat any fraud going on here.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like for instance, on I don't you're on the Indian bangles, like like full bangle that has like some enamel on it. A lot of times they're filled with a schlack, is for lack. So it's got some other weight in there. So when you put it on the
Mhm.
scale, oh, I'm selling this to you at gold. Well, it's not all gold in there. And the only way that you have to destroy the bracelet to tell it's gold. So how do you
Uh,
argue with them? Like,
I
hey, let me
see.
let me destroy your bracelet to prove it's not gold. So,
Right.
like I said, when there's a deal too good to be true, it usually is. So anyway, a
So
lot
how
of the
do you
times,
evaluate?
And look, I'm not picking on India because I'm sure, look, there's a lot of undercarroting that went on in the United States in the 70s and 80s. A lot of jewelry that's stamped 14 karat, that's actually 12 or 13 karat. So I
Mm.
mean, anytime someone can fraud and get away with it, it happens.
Yeah. No, but how do you correctly evaluate a bangle like that where you know that it's not gold inside? Like how do you correctly evaluate it?
You have to destroy it and cut it in half, and then it's so that's why I just don't buy them now because I bought so many and lost money on them, and it's just not worth the risk.
But
So now
how does the end buyer know that it doesn't have gold in it because they're not going to destroy it?
you can't. Yeah.
They
So
can't,
they pay the price, feel warm and fuzzy inside that they got a really good deal.
and then they like try to smelt it and ditch it
Well, if
like
you go to smelt it, yeah, there's going to be less gold in there than you thought for sure.
right,
I mean,
and then
some
they come back to you complaining.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, look, when I sell something, I say it's, hey, this is 14 karat. You know what I mean? So like if I go to resell, it's like I've done this where they're really beautiful, like really ornate design with diamonds, and I've sold them. Hey, look, there may be an inner lining in this. I can't tell without just, you know what I mean? Like I try and disclose. So like if that were to happen to me, it can't come back on me because I'm disclosing. Hey, I
Mhm.
don't know and I can't tell, but the outside is 14 karat. So as long as I disclose, but yeah, that's where that's why it's like the greatest trick. You can't tell till you destroy it.
Right, right. All right, Troy, it's time to land the plane. But one thing I wanted to hit on is branding. I feel like after talking to you for an hour, I feel like I sort of understand your business, and I feel like if there's somehow, I mean, you're already doing that with Platinum 1911, right? Somehow you can increase the value of the brand, just like you're doing, going on podcasts, spreading the word. If you know we can do like some kind of an influencer who represents the brand, who's more famous, or like ideas you can think of where the value of the brand goes up, then you can somehow, or not somehow, then you can actually justify like selling at higher prices, because then you're like, well, it's a branded, like it's Platinum 1911, like a Tiffany, right? Kind of thing, where they have their own brand, and that kind of like fetches a premium. So what are your thoughts? Like, I mean, in my head, I can only think of influencer marketing. I'm sure you can come up with more. What are your thoughts on like building this brand?
No, yeah, thank you. I mean, and yeah, I think where my brain is stuck in the dealer market, where they don't care about the brand, but the end
Hmm.
consumer market does. So I
Yeah.
think that's where you're seeing it different, which I appreciate. I'm super thankful that you're discussing this. And my brain's stuck in the, hey, look, it's a dealer. This is what it is.
Yeah.
Which isn't right. It's great that I have my mentality when I'm buying, but then when I go
Right.
to sell, it should be what you're saying. So, I mean, I love that. I think I need to really check out a virtual assistant and
Yeah.
figure out. I realize it's going to be painful in the beginning because I'm going to have to
Yeah.
train them. But I
Yeah.
think it would be a really great thing to have that extra help that I
Yeah.
just don't. That help and sorry, train them on like all the tasks that I could delegate to, where I can just focus on buying, and then
Yeah.
coming up with ideas on how to sell, like some we discussed, and putting them
Yeah.
on task to, hey, look, message 1,000 influencers, and here, let's try this first. If it's 10%, or if it's, hey, look, we're going to pay you 500 up front plus 10%, or whatever it takes to like talk about. Like at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay an influencer something for them to discuss your brand. You
Right.
know,
Right. So just a very high level concept. As a founder, you wanna, at least that's how I think about it. As a founder, you wanna do tasks that no one else can do. Right? Cleaning
correct.
jewelry, evaluating jewelry. You can technically train someone else, right? But branding, marketing, going on podcasts, you're not gonna send your VA to a podcast, right? You're not gonna send your VA or have your VA be the face of your YouTube channel, right? It has to be
Correct.
you. So if you could just focus on those activities where you are one on one, right? No one can do that, and just only you can do it. then you are 100% focused on marketing and branding. And of course, you'll still have to support, you'll have to manage your staff so that the business is running smoothly, right? Because I feel like right now you're too much in the business, so you don't have time to be on the business.
You're correct.
Right. So I feel, I mean, and that's a mistake we like have made in our business as well. And now we have a huge team, right, to fix that mistake. But I think because I feel like you're like, as you correctly pointed out, you're like very focused on, or dealer to dealer, I want to make money on the buy. But if we can somehow like flip that and focus on, all right, how do I target D2C, direct to consumer? And now because now you have unlimited margin, right? Because if you can build your brand to a Tiffany or a Rolex, right? You can imagine you can charge like 3,000%, right? Because you'll be like, well, this is special. It was worn by Rihanna, right? Whatever, right? And you have this influencer who wears it, and then that increases the value. So that's how I would approach it from a long-term perspective. But then obviously you want to balance it out. I know it's more, you have to, it's like a lifestyle thing as well. So you want to balance it out. But that's how I would approach it from generating more revenue perspective. But Troy, if anyone is watching this, and they're like, well, this is a fascinating business. Troy is a cool guy. I want to hang out with him. I want to learn from him, or I want to check out his pieces. What's like the best way for them to reach out?
I mean, you can find us at platinum1911.com. That's probably the best way. There's Instagram at platinum.1911. There's a YouTube platinum.1911. And there's also fastfixarizona.com if you're in the Arizona Valley area and need any jewelry work done. We do excellent repairs in one of the fastest. So we have great jewelry repair in Scottsdale and in Chandler at the malls there. But if you're interested and you want to learn about estate jewelry, definitely you can find my email on platinum1911.com or Instagram message platinum.1911.
Troy, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thanks, Abi. Hey, I really appreciate you giving me some truth and helping me think about how I can grow my business. I appreciate it.